Hey everybody, this is Mark Hammonds, and today is the second in our Q&A series where I or other Mobiletuts Plus contributors will be answering your questions that you leave in the comments or that you send directly to our email. Okay, so our first question today comes from Jeff, and it's on Priyesh Patel's post, Configuring an iPhone web app with meta tags. Jeff writes, "It's interesting to see that the icon is 57 by 57 pixels. I would have imagined that Apple would have set a new standard size after implementing the Retina display on the iPhone 4. I know the application icons are bigger than that." And Jeff is absolutely right. What happened with the iPhone 4 Retina display is that the resolution was actually doubled. So instead of 320 by 480 pixels, it became 640 by 960 pixels. And so because of that, you have to double the application icon as well. It goes from 57 by 57 pixels to 114 by 114 pixels. And the solution here is actually really simple, whether you're doing a native app or a web app. In this case, he's asking about a web app. So what you have to do is supply the 114 pixel by 114 pixel version, and then the older devices will automatically size that down to 57 by 57, and the current iPhone 4 or Retina display devices will keep the higher version of resolution. So that's the answer. It's actually really simple, and I've updated the post to reflect that as well. Thank you, Jeff, for pointing that out. Our next question today is on a post that I wrote called Introduction to iPhone SDK Development. It's one of the first ones that launched on the site. And this question comes from Mike. Mike says, "I'm having some trouble with linking the button with the actual button in the interface designer. Dragging a line on the label works just fine, but I can't seem to grab the UI button by dragging a line from the circle to the image."
Alright, so it sounds like this question actually deals with the way that layers work in Interface Builder and the tools that Interface Builder gives you to work with layers. So, the normal use case, I suppose you'd say, is that someone will add elements to the canvas in Interface Builder, and then they come up to the Files owner, they right-click, they find their IB action outlet, and drag directly over to the button that they want to associate with it. That works great, and it's in fact the method that I use most of the time. However, there are occasions, particularly when the button might be covered with another button, or if you have a ton of buttons on the screen and none of them have labels or something like that. There are definitely instances where it's very inconvenient to drag from here over to here and try to find what it is you're trying to select. So in those instances, rather than drag to the canvas, you can just drag straight to the representation in this other window and select from there what action you want to trigger the IB action. And there you go, you're set. Now it could be that something else has gone wrong in this particular commenter's case, and that could be that they may have left out the IB action keyword from their method signature. That obviously has to be there. Another thing that could be going wrong is that the IB action may be there and the outlet may be there, but they may have used a UI image instead of a UI button over here, and that would definitely cause an issue as well. As you can see, drop an image on there, break this association, and try to do another one, and it's not going to work. So the solution there is actually to use a button, but you make it a custom button, and then you set whatever background you want for that particular button state, and there are multiple different button states you can associate different images with.
And our final question today comes from iPhone SDK, Creating a Photo Gallery with 320 by Wang. Dylan writes, "How do I create an NSObject subclass?"
Okay, so in object-oriented terminology, NSObject is what's called a root class of every other CocoaTouch object. And this means that every other object will inherit from NSObject at some point in its class hierarchy. Now there are a couple exceptions to this, a few classes that in fact do not inherit from NSObject, but for the most part this is true. And consequently, whenever you want to add your own class into an application, you too should inherit from NSObject and take the functionality, the core functionality that it offers. So this happens very frequently over the course of an iPhone development project, almost for all of your data model classes really. And so the way to do it is really simple. You just go add new file, and then you'll select CocoaTouch class, Objective-C class, subclass of NSObject. And we can give it a new name, Twitter stuff. And that class will be added. and you can see that it's just whatever our class name is, and it inherits from NSObject. And that is how you create a subclass of NSObject. Alright, so that's actually been it for our session today. If you have any questions, send them to mobile@tutsplus.com, and they may appear in next week's show. I appreciate you watching this video. Hopefully it's been helpful to you in some degree, and I'll see you next week.